Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, the 138th day of the year. That's relevant because we're doing Course in Miracles lessons this year. But also, we're here because we're going to work on teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered in my 47 years of doing therapy. And so I'm grateful to announce, as always, that these tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. And if you go there and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages that says Start Here, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And you can read about that in that chapter. It's a narrative description of the primary tool in this work, a tool I've been using for over 16 years now to dramatically improve the quality of my life, manage my emotions and relationships, and turn any negative emotional experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each of us has been gifted. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself, a simple PDF file, download it, print it off, use it as often as you'd like. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows like this one where people have been stepped through the worksheet process, given testimonials about how the use of that process has benefited them, and or asked probing questions about the primary dynamics that allow it to be so effective. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that will contain the 137th day of the year. That puts us on lesson 137 from the Course in Miracles. But I thought I'd back up to Saturday's lesson. Saturday's lesson says, if I defend myself, I am attacked. And the short version of this is, if I create the belief that I need to defend myself, I have created a belief in the possibility that I could be attacked. And it's all in like when you were 10 or 11 years old and you had insomnia. What might you have made it mean about yourself that you were unable to sleep or rest or relax at night? Just keep your breath moving and stay in touch with the physical sensations. The ones you were mentioning earlier, are they still there? Do they fade away?
They're definitely still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can talk to them, and you might even get more mileage if you say, I'm going to talk to these physical sensations in my throat and ask them, when is the first time you got put into my body? And just watch what images pop up. Was that the first time when I was 10 or 11, or was there a time earlier in my life where these throat sensations were put into my body? Just watch what comes up. Don't overthink it. Just gently ask and put yourself in that allowing space and see what happens. Keep your breath moving. It becomes a door that closes on a separate self and keeps it isolated and alone. Sickness is isolation, for it seems to keep oneself apart from all the rest. Now, I should say that as I read this, I'm thinking not so much as of sickness as a physical illness. I'm reading it as this mental, emotional process of the dream of separation and the fear of connection. Speak directly to them and say, it's okay. I know you're here for a reason. I know you have a message for me, and I'm ready to hear the message. And then just watch what answers. If there's any resistance, say, I know, I get it. I have been resisting looking at this message for a long time, but this is different. I have tools, I have support, and I really do want to hear the message that these physical sensations, tension in the back of your throat, the stomach upset, I'm ready for the message. It's okay. Gently talk to it and notice what you get. Keep the breath moving. What do you get? What do you notice?
I have tears. I have this sense of like wanting to.
Just as forgiveness shines away all sin and the real world will occupy the place that you made, so healing must replace the fantasies of sickness which you hold before the simple truth. Healing is freedom, for it demonstrates that dreams will not prevail against the truth. Healing is shared, and by this attribute it proves that laws, unlike the ones which hold the sickness, are more potent. So the laws, unlike those that hold that sickness is inevitable, these laws are more potent. Healing is strength, for by its gentle hand is weakness overcome, and minds that this idea that I'm going to figure it out is a trap. Michael Rice talks about it as one of the biggest traps of the non-being mind. So right now, what's more important than getting the right answer or having a resolution to your insomnia when you were younger or your son's insomnia now is just being gentle with yourself in any way that is necessary for you to have comfort restored and ease restored, because you're perfectly safe. You're an adult. You're a competent adult. You're on the phone for the internet show. There's loving support here. You just stay tuned into that and allow whatever happens in a flow. And then tell me what you notice.
So I noticed a few things. First, words that popped into my mind were, I don't have words, which is funny because words were in my mind, but that was the message that I got.
At night as well. Here's the thought. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. And I would share my healing with the world. That sickness, I would share my healing with the world, that sickness may be banished from the mind of God's Son, who is my only true self. Let healing be with you through this very day, and as you rest in quiet, be prepared to give as you receive, to hold but what you give, and to receive the word of the Creator to take the place of all the foolish thoughts that ever were imagined. Now we come together to make well all that was sick, and offer blessings where there was attack. Nor will we let this function be forgotten and the words seem inadequate. Just take an attempt at whatever comes to mind.
The holding back, there was this idea of like, I shouldn't burst into tears and be bawling on the radio show. Like, I shouldn't release these tears. I shouldn't cry. And I think what that means too is that not just this happens to be the situation now that I'm on the radio show, but I shouldn't. Is sort of the idea, like hold it back.
It's not a new idea that you shouldn't bawl out loud.
Right. Like the reason changes, but I shouldn't release.
Right. Can you describe the perfect? Can you describe the perfect situation where this would be just the perfect thing to do, is scream and bawl and let the tears out? Two is an antiquated story, long disproven by quantum physics. Today, I rewrite the story with a simple flick of the old consciousness. It starts with this phrase: every person is my ally. I commit to invoking this powerful phrase in every interaction. With the barista at the coffee shop, we're all in this together. With the UPS driver delivering my latest Amazon package, we're all in this together. With my stepdad who goes on and on and on and on, we're all in this together. This approach, especially effective in the arena where most interactions take place, in my head. That so-and-so, oh yeah, that so-and-so. Well, never mind, we're all in this together. When we approach each person, especially the Grinches in our lives, with this attitude, it becomes easier to recognize that, quote, we are one. So just breathe into that. Notice how we, somehow or another, we download these false beliefs at a younger time in our lives, and they seem so painful, and they seem so unmanageable because of whatever coping mechanisms we have at the time, and we believe they're true, and then we hide them from ourselves because they seem so completely overbearing and something we just can't cope with. But then they're running in our unconscious, and they're driving our choices. They're driving our thoughts. They're driving our choices. They're driving our emotions. And they sit there and go out again. If you know somebody that you think I should interview, or a book you've read that's been life-changing, anything that's even remotely related to the kind of work we do here on Mindshifters Radio, I would appreciate it if you would forward that to me, either calling in now, 563-999-3581 and pressing 1, or send me an email at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And we'll do our best to answer those questions and or follow up on those suggestions. One came from Matthias in Germany, and he said, check out Diedrich Wolsack. And I checked out Diedrich, and Diedrich has read many of the same source material books as Dr. Michael Rice and I have, and he's agreed to be interviewed. So a week from today, I'll do an interview with him and hope to be able to make that available to the Mindshifters radio audience as well. Ellen, you're in the air?
Oh, anxiety. Actually, it's more like butterflies in my stomach, and I feel like that's connected to like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like I still, yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know what to do. Nervous.
Okay, so breathe into that thought of nervous and ask, is this the first time you've ever felt nervous about not knowing what to do? Yes? No? Your true nature as part of the creation, as of the creative energy expressing in form. Commentary goes on. The conscious choice of heaven is as sure as the ending of the fear of hell, when it is raised from its protective shield of unawareness and is brought to the light. Who can decide between the clearly seen and the unrecognized? Yet who can fail to make a choice between alternatives when only one is seen as valuable, the other as a wholly worthless thing, but imagined source of guilt and pain? It is but an imagined source of guilt and pain. Who hesitates to make a choice like this? And shall we hesitate to choose today? We make the choice for heaven as we wake and spend 5 minutes making sure that we have made the one decision that is sane. We recognize, we make a conscious choice between what has existence and what has nothing but an appearance of the truth. It is pseudo-being brought to what is real. It's flimsy and transparent in the light. It holds no terror now for what was made enormous, vengeful, pitiless, with hate, demands obscurity for fear to be invested there. Now it is recognized as but a foolish, trivial mistake. Before we close our eyes in sleep tonight, we affirm the choice that we have made each hour in between. And now we give the last 5 minutes of our waking day to the decision with which we awoke. As every hour passed, we've declared our choice again in a brief, quiet time devoted to maintaining sanity. And finally, we close the day with this, acknowledging we choose but what we want. Heaven is the decision I must make. I make it now, and I will not change my mind, because it is the only thing I want. Pam Grout's book, Course in Miracles Experiment, Lesson 138 is titled, Feel the Beautiful. She quotes Vincent van Gogh, as saying, there is nothing more truly artistic than to love people. Pam writes, Robert Holden, a fellow Hay House author and a Course in Miracles teacher from Great Britain, loves to tell stories about his daughter, Bo. One day when she was 4, he found her out in the garden gazing up at the sky. She was smiling with great joy. Hey, sweetheart, he said, interrupting her reverie. Hi, Dad, she answered back. What you doing? She replied, just laying here, feeling beautiful. Lesson 138, Heaven is the decision I must make, reminds me that the truth cannot be learned, only recognized. I will lay aside this insanely complicated world, and like Bo, I will look at the sky, smile, and feel beautiful. Hope you'll join me. So that's our extended reading of the Course in Miracles lesson, which has lots and lots of negatives, circles. Hopefully it's making some sense. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Area code 910. You're in the air. Who do we have?
Hey, Dr. Tim. It's Jill from Wilmington.
Hello, Jill. How are you?
I'm good. I'm calling because I'm sort of in process, and something came up last night that I would like some help with. It's funny, on the surface it's like it doesn't seem related, but maybe it is. Maybe it isn't, and it probably doesn't matter. But I can tell you a little bit about the wake-up sheet I did, if that sounds like a good place to start.
Okay.
So the situation was my son, who has had difficulty sleeping, was a little bit anxious. Now? He's 11 now.
Okay.
And he was a little anxious at bedtime, and I found myself becoming very anxious. And so I started to, the main thing I noticed, actually, the first thing that got my attention was a lot of physical symptoms, which I'm feeling right now. So a lot of pressure at the base of my throat and constriction there, as well as a lot of tension in the back of my neck, maybe the same place just at the back of my neck and in my shoulders. The throat constriction is the most noticeable and also annoying. I swallow, like I do a lot of things to try to get rid of it, and it doesn't go away. So, I went through my whole spiel of like how I feel, which was like preemptively frustrated or anxious, and my thoughts that go along with it. Mainly projecting like his anxiety will ramp up and this will just blow up into a big bad situation. Fortunately, that didn't happen. I think probably because I noticed all this, so I didn't start acting out. But what I got to towards the end was those physical symptoms did not go away. And so I had two insights. One is my body's telling me something, and I don't know what it is. The somatic things stored in the body is very significant. And then the other thing I remembered is at his age, I was struggling with insomnia. And when I went into 6th grade, we went on a field trip to Washington, D.C., and I remember being worried, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to not be able to sleep this whole time. And it like healed itself. I went away on this trip. I had no problem sleeping. And for a while after that, I had no insomnia. And so I wondered if, it's significant that my son has these issues. He's the exact same age that I was right now. And I wrote, I wonder if these physical feelings are from a time when I was his age, like are they left over from that? So that's where I am.
And so you don't have the answer to that question? You didn't tap into it and identify either, yes, it was a physical sensation that I had at that age, or no, it wasn't?
No. I didn't go that next step, and that's funny, too. When I did this last night, it didn't even occur to me to do that. What I decided to do is just breathe. Because it's physical and I felt like thinking about it maybe wasn't going to get me there. I don't know, maybe that was avoiding.
Well, so one of the things that comes to mind is the idea that have you heard, and do you have access to that forgiveness pattern that is part of the release that I do with people when we've done it with you on the show and we do it in our support group? I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change. I specifically, including myself, I specifically cancel my goal in this worksheet. You remember that whole thing?
I know I've heard it before. Is it on your website or someplace where I can find? I'm sure I've written it down. Like I'm sure I have it someplace, but I have no idea where I might have put it.
It's available through the mindshiftersacademy.org on the educational materials page. It's a free download. It's just a PDF file. And I do it when I do it with people on the internet show. I do it when we do it in support groups when they're doing the worksheet. And the release process, when I say, okay, I'm asked to be shown, I go through that pattern. And one of the things I do in that pattern is I say, now I just put myself in the most open, allowing space I can, and I trust that anything that pops into my mind is part of what I need to see to begin to heal here and move forward. And I notice any images that come up, any memories of the past, sights, sounds, physical sensations. And if one of them comes up, I just notice, how old am I, where am I, who else is there, and what's happening. And part of that is, when I do that, I get access to what I came to believe about myself. I get access to...
Well, maybe if I'm by myself and no one else can hear me.
Maybe. And how many times have you let that happen?
A handful.
A handful. So not enough, right? And so even then, there's this prohibition against feeling your feelings and expressing them. So just notice that. It's okay. It's okay if you bawl right now. It's okay if you hold it back in and say it's not the right time to do it. But just notice the conclusions and the meanings that you've given to them. What it means about yourself. What would it mean about you if you let the tears go and started bawling uncontrollably on the radio show?
it might be like very inappropriate or embarrassing or make other people uncomfortable, or I'm taking up space. Like, we're not even talking about the the Course in Miracles. Like, I just called
so there's
crying.
There's the perfect thing. Let's note this. Let's say these again. I'm an embarrassment. I'm just taking up space. I'm not being productive. I'm not talking about what should be done. All of those thoughts are thoughts about yourself. Right? Those are negative thoughts about yourself tied to all of these energies, like the urge to cry, the thoughts of grief that don't have words, the tightness in your throat, and they're all tied to I'm taking up space, I'm not worthy, I'm not productive, all those things you just said. Just be clear about them. And now take a breath, and let's understand what we teach in this work and what you've read in so many places about.
I'm not sure I'm entirely accurate about, like, not knowing what to do. Maybe it's more like, well, I mean, I guess that is, like, thinking I should do something but not knowing what it is, just that confusion state.
So it's a familiar state. So the question is, it's a familiar emotion. And so the question is, and you can just ask this of yourself, what is one of the first times you remember feeling that confusion state, that not knowing what to do? And just breathe into it and let whatever comes up come. It might be you only felt that 2 years ago, or you felt it when you were 2. It doesn't really matter what comes up. Just take a breath. Ask yourself that question. When is one of the first times I remember feeling this confusion state, this anxiety, this nervousness about not knowing what to do?
Okay. I don't have an accurate, but I have a feeling of being like a little kid. And, feeling confused. Like, wait a second, I thought it was this, but it's that, and I don't understand how I got it wrong.
Okay, perfect. And about what age would you imagine would have been one of the first times you would have had that confusion and that emotion?
I'm thinking it's preschool.
Okay. And can you imagine what kind of thing might have happened in preschool that you thought you were doing the right thing and it didn't work out and you didn't know what to do to make it right? Just take a breath and just open up. What do you get?
This is kind of funny because, so I sort of remember getting yelled at in preschool for something. And it was very confusing to me because I was a good girl, quote. Like, I always follow the rules. Like, I always do the right thing. And I thought I was doing the right thing, and I got maybe not even yelled at. I don't know. But I do remember being caught up short, like, wait, what? Like, I thought I was doing the right thing, and apparently not. And it just, I don't get yelled at. This isn't who I am.
And so take a breath and think about that, and think about what you might have downloaded as a meaning about yourself. What did it mean about you that you got this thing wrong? That you couldn't figure it out, and what you thought was the right thing to do was just absolutely wrong. What does it mean about you as a person?
Well, I'm wrong, just me in general. That confusion of, like, how did I misunderstand? Just, I guess I don't get it.
And what does that mean about you when you don't get it?
Yeah.
That you're wrong, that you're bad, that you're, what words would you use for that?
I'm inept. I'm incompetent. I'm clueless.
Okay. And so notice that if you have the thought when you're young, I'm inept, I'm incompetent and clueless, notice what else might come up with that. Like maybe fear. Like if I'm feeling inept and incompetent, that's kind of a dangerous place to be, right? Because we're trying to navigate the world, right? We're trying to get through this life. And so just notice all those emotions and the thoughts that are giving rise to them.
Yeah, I think what comes up first is that, like, self-abuse. Like, I'm stupid. Like, I need to have beat myself up about it.
There you go.
I'm done.
Breathe into that. Exactly. There's a deep one. Breathe into that. Every time I don't know exactly what to do just the right way, I'm stupid and I should be beat up. Breathe into that. And keep part of you right here as the adult who's on the internet show reviewing these old thoughts, these old false beliefs and emotions. So stay right here and see yourself as that preschool child who's being so hard on herself, who's reached this negative conclusion about herself that's false, but she's reached it. She's doing her best, and she still came up with it. So just breathe and do what we did just a minute ago. Take a look at that and ask, is it true? Is that what it really meant about me? And you add your adult awareness to the evaluation that you performed when you were in preschool. Just breathe into it. See yourself as that little preschool child who so desperately wanted to do the right thing. And she did what she thought she was right, but she got corrected or reprimanded. And as the adult, add your awareness to that preschool child's belief that this means she's bad, she's wrong, she's a failure, she needs to be abused. Just breathe into it. What would you say to a preschool child today who got something wrong? What would you say to your son when he was in preschool if he got something wrong and you knew he was trying his best? And use some of those corrective patterns in the interaction with this visualization you're having of yourself in preschool. And just breathe and notice what happens for you physically and emotionally. What are you getting?
Well, what I feel is that
keep going.
I feel a huge amount of tenderness towards that little girl who was trying so hard and thought she was doing the right thing, and she was a good girl. She is, and she was doing the right thing. It's just, the teacher's response had nothing to do with following the rules or not. It was just a completely separate thing. So there's nothing wrong with what
the teacher's response, right? And the teacher's response had nothing to do with the value of the little girl.
Right.
So.
Right.
So then we come back to these teachings. What does it say at the top of every reality management worksheet process? I, Tim, who am love. The premise is my essential nature, my human life, my very being is love. And the goal of this worksheet process, or any processing I do, is to empower me to remove all of the faulty beliefs that generate fear and or hostility, and let me move back into that direct experience of my love, of my true nature as love, 24/7, 365. So holding that memory of the innocent little a preschool kid, using whatever you need to get past any negative glitches that might come up. See your son at that age, see a niece or a nephew at that age, holding that image and correcting the false belief that because they don't get everything perfectly right intellectually the very first time, correct the belief that says they should be punished or you should be punished for that. And then breathe and soften and notice what you're feeling now.
All right. She is letting me know that she understands that being corrected is just part of learning. It's how we learn and grow, and that it didn't take away from the truth of who she is, which is love and whole.
Okay, so breathe into that and feel whatever energies and solid feelings come from that, and then move back to this idea of the incident that happened when your son started getting anxious and you thought, oh my gosh, it's going to ramp up and then he's not going to be able to sleep and I don't know what to say or do, and just breathe into that and notice how that feels to see if that's shifted at all.
Yes, it has. I think I've tapped into feel like I could approach him with compassion and love versus my own fright, which would have an entirely different outcome, obviously.
Obvious. Always does. And that's our goal. To breathe and soften and find a way to get that direct conscious awareness of our true nature, which will always open up that compassion. Michael Rice defines it as processing, to be able to hold love conscious, active, and present, even when something unlike love comes into thoughts or memories. So take a breath and scan your body and notice what's happening with all those physical sensations.
As you said that, I was rotating my head. My neck is a lot less tense. A lot of that tension is gone.
Well, and it's a good bet that a lot of that was happening when you were a preschool kid. Right? Mm-hmm. That even if you don't remember it actively, that's just one of the places you stored a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have a negative belief about ourselves, it generates a negative emotion. That's got a lot of energy in it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, what are your thoughts? How can we support you going forward? Is there more that would be of use to you? Is this a good place to map out either a mind shifter or a worksheet, or are you feeling like
I was thinking about, I definitely feel like I've reached a plateau, which is a nice place to be. And I was just, the thought that was occurring to me, I think that this is related to what I've started processing last week, was that idea of being a burden. And I still have plenty of mind shifters and worksheets. I started that mind shifter. And then the other thing I wanted to say, too, is that, the messages from the body, those sensations, those physical sensations, it was really helpful just now to help release some of that stored energy. And I'm curious about what will happen next. So I don't know. I don't know if I need a mind shifter, if I should do that, or if this is a good place to just hold.
But when you stay close source material and the source material says, hey, we're all in this together and there is only the one mind, then you start to say things that make a lot of sense because you're